Well, good day to you. It is October the 4th. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. My name is Gary Willing. I want to welcome you to Search for Signs. And I also want to point out to those people who are new, remind those people who have heard these videos before, perhaps haven't taken advantage of it yet. If you want more background information about Maitreya, about his priorities, about the Masters of Wisdom, why they're here, if you want to see if this information is true for yourself, and you just stumbled across this channel and you're like, this is weird, but something's intriguing me with this, right? And you want to see if there's any truth to it, the best thing to do is to read more about it. I've included links in the description of every one of these videos to make it easier for anyone to do just that, to see if there's any truth to it, to do your own investigation, perhaps get more background information or whatever. So if you look down, you scroll down, you'll see these links. Those take you to websites that talk about this information either directly or indirectly. If you don't know anything about this information and you want to know more, I would definitely recommend the first link that I put in there, the Share International link. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a second. But anyway, you can get a lot of information that way. So hopefully you'll take advantage of it and look into it because it's there for you and it's all free. All right, now, if you want to join the discussion, you can, of course, post your comments. You can post your questions in the comments section, or you can even email me at searchforsigns@mail.com. All right, let's get on into it. And I always, like I said, and the other thing too before I get into it really is I also want to thank those people who've commented since I put the last video up via email or just posting comments or questions. So I really do appreciate it when you guys do that. Now, the question that I had two questions that came my way, actually three. I guess I'll answer the third one. But anyway, as well, I'm going to start with Clyde's. What is your interest in making a video about Christ, Maitreya, Mahdi? What is Mashiach? I don't know what that is. Anyway, your motivation, Clyde. Well, I really appreciate you asking the question, Clyde. Let's get on into it. Okay, so my interest in these videos where I'm talking about Maitreya is really twofold. Okay, the first is about the priorities of Maitreya, the need for peace, something that I've wanted my whole life. And I've always felt, even before I knew this information, that peace was possible. But how? I didn't know how. And I read a lot of information about Maitreya, very intrigued about what are called the rays and the points in evolution and stuff. Quite fascinating information. But, that in and of itself didn't touch me as much as when I read what Maitreya said about the need for peace, but also how to get there. He said, without sharing, there will be no justice. Without justice, there will be no peace. And without peace, there will be no future. You do not have to believe anything that I'm saying about Maitreya, the person, who I believe him to be. You can still have your own beliefs and still share in that the responsibility and the need to bring about peace. You can still be a Christian and want peace. You can still be a Muslim and want to see the end of hunger, those kind of things. Now, if you want to research, and I always throw this out there, okay, people love evidence, and I'm giving you evidence about Maitreya. I cannot, tell you what channel he is speaking on. I cannot give you a picture of how he looks, and that's not really important. What is important is, what is he saying? Is it true? And this one thing, which I think is the most important thing that Maitreya has said to date, because it really is what we really need to do as a humanity. Share the resources of the world, bring about trust and justice and peace, thus giving humanity a future. And if we don't, we will not have a future. So, but is that true? And you can, for weights and measures, for evidence, evidentiary purposes, if you weigh what he said based on historical evidence, you will see that what he's saying is true. The Marshall Plan is an example of the principle of sharing, and it brought about justice, trust, and a measure of peace between the nations that participated in the Marshall Plan. There is a link in the description to the Wikipedia page and to a YouTube site that talks about the Marshall Plan. Now, they do not look at it from that perspective. This is coming from this information looking at the Marshall Plan. But nations like Britain, France, Germany, Italy, the United States, and there's some others in there that participated in the Marshall Plan. None of them have gone to war against one another since this Marshall Plan took place. The peoples of those countries trust the peoples of those other nations better than they trust any other nations on the planet. Maitreya says the only way to solve the problems of the world, like the environment, which is a good example of a problem that we need to solve together, is to bring about trust and goodwill amongst nations. That's it. We can solve the problem together if we just do that. The only thing, according to Maitreya, that will bring about trust amongst nations is for nations to share the resources that they have with other nations. It will have the same effect that happened with that tiny group of nations that participated in the Marshall Plan right after World War II. It will have the same effect. And if we did it more than just a few years, it would have a profound effect on life on planet Earth. But we haven't taken the steps to do it. There's too much corporate interest, there's too much greed, there's too much corruption in our own governments for them to even consider doing something like this. The peoples of the world have to step up and speak what is needed. That's the only way our politicians will ever do anything. So the peoples of the world are really asleep. Now we're waking up, but it's really asleep. So that's my real motivation, is to talk about this information because it's so important. Now, to really answer your question about why am I talking about Maitreya in the way that I'm talking, is a good question. Because I don't make any money off this. Now, it gives me a tremendous amount of joy to do these videos because I'm sharing what I think is the most important thing that I could be talking about with people. And people are, there are some people who are interested in this. So it's fun. It's joyful for me to do this. Now, but my motivation is not even that. What really kicked it off for me was I was not doing anything with this information. I wanted to. Something was gnawing at me to do it. And this was, 2018, I think, 2019 when I started, 2019. And I was listening to videos on YouTube about different things, and I was like, maybe I should do a video about this. And I was kind of unsure whether I wanted to do this or not. And then I started thinking about an experience that I had. I've had a lot of experiences with Maitreya, and I haven't talked about all the experiences that I've had because not all the experiences that I've had are really translatable to video. Some of them are quite extraordinary. But this one in particular, which wasn't the one that I typically talked about prior to this, but it was an experience I had with Maitreya that was quite extraordinary because I wasn't the one that saw him, actually. It was somebody who knows nothing about Maitreya was the one that actually confirmed that he was there. Now, the story goes like this. This was in 2010, so I was working for several months. I was working 3 jobs. Thankfully, I'm down to 1 job now, but I was working 3 jobs. I had 2 waiting jobs, and I was cleaning a building at night after my evening job. And it was taking a lot out of me. The toll was very much getting to the point where I just could not do much more, I didn't think I had much more in me, and I was trying my best to continue on because I was working to get my then fiance and her daughter from the Philippines to the United States, which was quite expensive. Even back then, it was very expensive for visas, for flights, for all that kind of stuff. So I was working my butt off trying. I was really burning the candle at both ends. And I was burned out. I was tired. I was irritable. And every time I would go to clean this building, which is it's a building on a local airport, and it was the building where the governor had his planes. So it was a building that was secure. You had to go through security, so you couldn't just walk into the building. But any building that is on an airport like that, you can't just walk in there. You have to show credentials if that's the case and that kind of thing. Now, so I was working this secure building, and for a few weeks, the trash was excessively heavy for this one group of office, there's one office up at the top floor of this building. Now, this in and of itself isn't what makes the story interesting, especially when I talk about Maitreya. But anyway, it was tough. It was for, I would have to make 2 or 3 trips down to the dumpster and come back, and it was just enough to where it was just like, I can't take this anymore. If somebody just helped me with the trash. And I can, from time to time, and I've been able to do this, where I visualize Maitreya, I visualize an experience that I had with Maitreya, how he looked, especially one in particular. And when I visualize that one image in my mind and I ask him for help, the help comes back quite quickly. It's the same effect for me as if I was looking at the image of Maitreya's hand. That is, we talk about this on this channel, so I can talk about it more if you want to know more about it. But anyway, where Maitreya says, if you look at this image, it creates a mind-to-mind contact with Maitreya. But for some reason, I'm able to think about an experience I had with Maitreya, in this one in particular. And when I ask for help, oftentimes he does, and it's quite dramatic. the way the help comes back in this way. But I was driving, I was tired, I was going back home, and I had this vision in my mind of how Maitreya looked decades ago. And so I saw him in my mind's eye, and I said, Maitreya, if somebody could just help me with the trash in that one side of the building, I'll take care of the toilets, I'll take care of the vacuuming. It would make so much difference in my life if somebody could just do that. And then I thought better of it. I was like, no, you're busy. I can't ask that of you. I'll take care of it. And I forgot all about my request to him. And then I think it was the next week. It was pretty soon. It wasn't the next night, but it was like that might have been like 1 week. And then I came back on Monday and there was no trash in that side of the building. Everything else was normal. I had to clean the bathrooms, had to do this, had to go outside and clean the office out in the hangar. But I was out in about an hour. I wasn't an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and 30 minutes like it had been getting. And so it just gave me enough time to go home, chill out, take a nap, or go to sleep and then wake up early in the morning. And I was like, huh. And I was thinking, I never thought that it was Maitreya that helped me. I thought that they were just out of the office that week, because it happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I do remember that. It happened for 5 days straight. At the end of that week, I felt so much better, refreshed even, relaxed, right? I kind of got over the hump. Totally forgot about it. Didn't think anything of it. Didn't go, wow, I asked Maitreya for help, and then turn around. I never even connected the dots. I swear to God, I never connected the dots. It wasn't until a few weeks later, a month or two later, something like this, I'm up there cleaning the building. I was about to go into that side of the building that there was a lot of trash, and then there was no trash. And then this woman, her name is Carol, was coming out of the building, or coming out of her side of the building, excuse me. And she looked at me, she goes, Gary, I got to use the restroom. Sure, no problem. She goes, don't lock the door. Okay, no problem. She goes, I left my keys on the desk. And make sure you tell your associate not to lock the door. Like, what associate are you talking about, right? She goes, the one that helps you out from time to time. So what are you talking about, Carol? There's nobody that helps me. Now she's getting a little concerned because she thought maybe there was just, an unauthorized person in there. Like, oh my God, right? So she's getting kind of like jumpy about this. She goes, Gary, I swear to God, there's somebody that comes in and helps out from time to time. I said, what does he do? And she goes, well, he comes in and gets the trash out of the building, out of her side of the building. I was like, when did this happen? And she named the week that there was no trash. And I said, what did he look like? And she goes, well, he's a tall African-American fellow, very polite, very kind, but also very kind of soft-spoken and quiet, and just came in and said, good evening. How are you? She said, fine. And then he got the trash and left. And I asked Ben, I said, was this Maitreya? And he goes, yeah, it was Maitreya, because you asked him to help you. And I was like, it blew my mind because I didn't see him. And then to kick it off, this is the cherry on the top of this whole story, Clyde. And this is when I said, I gotta do these videos, right? Was I asked Maitreya for a little bit more help, and he gave it to me, and this happened the next day. I could not remember Carol's name, and I wanted to record a video talking about this. And I asked Maitreya, I said, is there any way that you can help me remember her name? Because I want it to be a little bit more personal and not just some woman. Anyway, the next day, this woman, Carol, comes walking into where I work on a different side of town, far away from where I had seen her. And I just about jumped out of my skin. I was so excited. Now this, I actually connected the dots right away, right? I was like, oh my gosh. I said, what is your name? I didn't even ask her how she was doing. I said, what is your name? And she goes, it's Carol. And I said, Carol, I remember you. I used to clean this building with you. How you been? And all that kind of stuff. But I realized immediately that Maitreya helped bring her to me so I could remember her name. How he did it, I have no idea to this day. It was such a miracle in my own life. But the fact that she saw him and I never saw him, when this happened and I started thinking, I was like, I have to talk to people about him. You know, I know there are people who have heard this information before, and Ben said, soon, you'll see him soon, you'll see him soon. And then he was on TV and nobody's seen him. And I know people have lost faith. I know people have been upset about the fact that they have not seen him on TV. But the thing that got me over this hump, this hurdle, to talk about this more with people was that one experience. So that's what motivates me, is I know it's true. And I know people are, especially people that I've known for years about this, it's got to be troubling that they haven't seen him. But yet, I know it's true. I don't know why. I don't know why it's taking so long, other than it's just humanity's problem. You know, we're the ones that are slow, not him. But if you knew, in your heart of hearts, if you knew that this information was true and had conclusive evidence for yourself that it was true, why would you hold it back? You see what I'm saying? So that's what motivates me to talk about it. So I really appreciate the question nonetheless. All right, now let's see. There were a couple other comments. So Poppy, you asked about transmission meditation, wanted me to talk about it. I have talked about it before, but I would recommend, if you want to know more about a service meditation, what you can do to help the world after hearing these videos, you're starting to see that this is true. Transmission meditation is the best thing to do. You know, you can talk about this information, of course, if you believe it, and if you believe it at, as Ben would say, at 1%, then make it known at 1%. If you believe it at 30, make it known at 30%. If you believe it at 100%, then make it known at 100%. You don't have to believe 100% in this to talk about it. So, but you can, if you so choose, do other things to help, and transmission meditation is one of them. It's a very simple meditation. I'll talk a little bit about it, but if you want more information, go to the Share International site. There's a lot of information about transmission meditation. You can see videos that Ben, where he's talking about transmission meditation, even on YouTube, and get better information about transmission meditation that way than you can from me. But also, too, if you go to the Share International site, because it's a group meditation, you can get information about perhaps local groups that you didn't even know were doing transmission meditation. You can join them and do transmission meditation. But it's free. It doesn't cost any money, or you don't have to join a membership or anything, or even believe in anything that I'm saying about Maitreya, but you might just want to help and don't know what to do. Transmission meditation is a service meditation that was given to the world by Ben's master through Ben some years ago, and according to Ben's master, in the future will be a form of service for the vast majority of humanity, because it's quite simple service that you can do in conjunction with other service. You can do it in conjunction with other forms of meditation, because it's not advisable to do two meditations ongoingly at the same time. But you can do transmission meditation, and you can do a personal meditation. And in fact, it helps and enhances what you're doing with service meditation. But the benefit of it is these energies that are changing the world, you know, everything in life is energy. The energies that are sent into the world through these masters can be stepped down a little bit further, making it more accessible for everyday, you know, average humanity to use, because they're stepped down through these transmission meditation groups. And the energy is scientifically sent through the individuals and through the groups of these transmission meditation groups, and then is sent out into the world to help make some of the changes. Because remember, everything in life is energy, without exception. the changes that people want, like such as myself, I just talked about peace, the need for peace. That is all energy. The energy, the groups of people that are holding all of the changes back are responding still to old energies that are dying away. The people that want the changes, that want to see life, want to see a clean environment and have technologies that help promote that, are starting to respond more and more to these new energies coming in. People who want justice are responding more to the new energies. The people who are against justice, who want to keep everything the same, are responding to the old energies. So these energies that are sent into the world are being sent out all the time, and they're all being stepped down from these masters to everyday humanity. But they can be stepped down a little bit further by just having this little group of transmission meditators somewhere in the world. It helps that energy get stepped down, makes it more usable and more accessible for perhaps groups that are looking for change, or political groups or economic groups or something like that. So, but if you want to know more, I would definitely recommend going to the Sharon National site. There's so much information about transmission meditation, how to do it, the benefits of it, and also, of course, the ability to connect with groups in your area, possibly. So, or how to start a group if there's nobody in your area. So, but thank you for bringing up the question. But I love you guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I look forward to putting up videos in the very near future. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.